In Guadalajara, Mexico feels very much at home, and in this Concacaf Men's Olympic qualifying semifinal rematch of 5 years ago, it is a team 9 years removed from a gold medal in the Olympics. Mexico taking on a Canadian side that has not been to the Olympics since 1984. Win, you're going to Tokyo. Lose, you face the fate of the United States, who fell to Honduras less than an hour ago. It's a gorgeous night in Guadalajara for one of the great matches in CONCACAF. Win the Olympics, lose, you're out. Canada and Mexico both arriving through the group stage, and perhaps the best way to begin tonight is to look back on how they arrive in this semifinal.
2021 CONCACAF Olympic Qualifying Championships. It's Mexico and the Dominican Republic to round out this first round of matches. This is very much a David versus Goliath. This one lashed across, and the opening goal for Mexico comes by way of Carlos Rodriguez. Opens up the scoring for El Tri in front of their home crowd. As this one digged towards the back post, and Mexico will end on a very, very high note.
Second match, Mexico and Costa Rica. Opts to cut inside, it gets deflected and then put away. It's Alexis Vega. Oh my goodness. A beautiful goal to make it 3-0. Mexico and the United States. Couldn't ask for a better night for a big rivalry match. Only separated by goal differential. Antuna onto his right foot, puts Mexico up in the 45th minute. Mexico wins the group with 3 wins.
Olympic qualifying championships here from Estadio Jalisco in Guadalajara, Mexico, Canada, and El Salvador trying to keep pace with Honduras. Left-hand side, 1v1, puts it on frame, and Canada has scored. Teja Buchanan, a quick little step over. Cornelius lays it off. Buchanan rises to his feet and punishes the net. Canada hang on for 3 points to start their journey.
Haiti and Canada, if Canada can get a victory, they've set themselves up to be in a good spot. Broguillard sends it across, chopped back, it's Buchanan, good save there by Jerome. A header nearly tucked it away, and Haiti is knocking at the door. 0-0 with Canada, no goals for either squad. The final game, Honduras taking on Canada. It's a good looking ball, what a service! Cornelius, the captain, with the diving header. Both teams are through into the semifinal.
Damas y caballeros, les pedimos ponerse de pie para el himno nacional de Canadá, seguido por el himno nacional de México.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Canada, followed by the national anthem of Mexico.
Certainly not a full stadium, Estadio Jalisco tonight, but it is certainly a very partisan Mexican-heavy crowd as Canada and Mexico prepare to meet in this Olympic qualifying semifinal. Our referee oversaw Canada's group stage match against Haiti. He was also at the helm for a quite controversial fixture in Champions League in the bubble between Los Angeles Football Club and Club America. Captains meet with the officials as we close in on kickoff. Winner is headed to Tokyo. The loser, there is no safety net. There is no intra-confederation playoff. Quite simply, win or go home for these under-23 sides in the lead-up to the Olympic Games. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand as we prepare for kickoff here, Devin. We take a look at the starting lineups, and we begin with this Mexican side that appears to be close to full strength.
And no real surprises here. I think the one thing fans might look at, and ongoing viewers, is that Alexis Vega has moved back up to the point. They're going back into three in the middle, specifically one holder, and Esquivel, and JJ Macias takes his seat. He has not been at his best. Jaime Lozano going with pretty much the squad that has been at the highest playing level this entire tournament, and rightfully so.
I mentioned almost full strength. Sebastian Jurado is in goal, came in for the injured Luis Malagon, an elbow injury. He is in the venue tonight, and the reserve goalkeeper is wearing his jersey during warm-ups. The starting lineup for Mauro Bielo's Canadian under-23 side. I think the question for everyone, Devin, what does Lucas Diaz look like with this group?
Well, Lucas Diaz is one of those world talents coming up to the Sporting Lisbon system that carries a boatload of confidence, a Canadian at just 10 years of age going across the pond. We'll tell you more about that. Colin Montgomery, back from injury. I think that's the big surprise to us because of the fact that you heard so much that he wasn't going to be available. Derek Cornelius and David Norman Jr. had stepped in, and Charles Andreas Birim back in the starting lineup. Tejan Buchanan, by the way, stepping up a higher line.
Here are the available substitutes, and the aforementioned Derek Cornelius picked up a knock in the final 20 minutes of the final group stage for Canada against Honduras. He had scored in that game. Center back a tad thin for the Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, defensively in general, you want to make sure that that's not an area you want to explore. Offensively is going to be, you know, what are they capable of? Because we've seen a couple glimpses, nothing great, but now it's time to bring full force against this Mexican squad.
With a wink of the eye and a kick at the ball, we're underway in this Olympic qualifying semifinal. Mexico or Canada is headed to Tokyo, and we may just be 90 minutes from finding out who completes the 16-team field at the Olympics in Japan this summer. Mexico in the lead-up has been every bit the superpower we anticipated. They did knock off the United States to win their group, but handily dominated the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica. Against the United States, they're able to achieve the victory and rest a couple of key players, most notably perhaps Cordova, who is in the lineup here tonight. Vasquez. Lorona. Johan Vasquez again. League MX made the best 11 in the most recent completed season. Turned over to Baldissimo. Ball for Buchanan slid away. Devin, what's the best route for Canada ultimately to qualify at the end of the night?
Hold on. I mean, honestly, it's going to be that kind of night with the powerhouse that is this Mexican squad. I mean, you're basically looking at, you don't want to call it a reserve team, right? Because that's not how it works out in international play. But all of these players step up to the senior level, and they have done so regularly. They are that good that they could go compete on the global stage right now. It's a giant, so they have to be giant killers. They're going to have to sit back, rely on their morals, watch the midfield of Baldissimo and Patrick Metcalf. They're going to be very busy with all of the rotation you get in Cordova, Rodriguez, and as much as Esquivel is going to drop in deep, how much further are you going to pull your strikers in with Tejan Buchanan and Charles Andreas Birim? Are you going to ask them to come and sit, or are you going to allow them to play forward a bit more and sit back defensively? That's going to be the key question for Mauro Bielo.
Notably, 5 capped players for Canadian side have been without the selection of Toronto FC players. They just came back from a pause in their organization due to COVID-19. Also some key players overseas. Lofted forward for Vega. Vega on the bounce. Angulo. Esquivel. Lorona. Swings the cross dangerously, but beyond Alvarado. And at least for now, a gentle applause from the fans allowed in the venue tonight.
Just so many options moving forward for Jaime Lozano. Francis Vega goes back up to the point. Alberto Alvarado and Ariel Antuna in the wing play. Been pretty impressive so far. Their ability to start to tuck themselves inside, overlapping runs from Aguirre and Lorona. It just seems like every single time you feel like you've knocked down an option for Mexico, a next one pops up, sometimes surprisingly so.
Rodriguez. Nice nod into the wing. Cordova, leading goal scorer in this tournament at this stage. He turned to Buchanan. Buchanan's got a couple goals of his own, and he's got a step now. Buchanan tied up. Referee allows play to continue. Ariel Antuna, the game winner against the United States to seal the group for Mexico. Lorona. Rodriguez. Brought down by Cordova. Excellent recovery. Norman has had to play out of position, certainly in this tournament.
Last-ditch tackle. You're going to leave your feet as a center back? You better be real sure that you can win that ball inside the box. The other way, I thought this was a foul. Already reaching for him there, then in from behind on the shoulder check. Jesus Angulo gets away with one for sure.
The tricky Antuna, Lorona. Mexico has dominated the ball in these opening 5 minutes. 9 years ago, Mexico claimed a gold medal in London. Ball bouncing up toward Vega. As far as Cordova. Goal kick, Canada. I think, Devin, you could argue, if you're Canada, the results of Toronto FC in Champions League, of Montreal getting into the bubble in Champions League this past year, of Forge FC making a run in Concacaf League, certainly a country that is on the upslope in Concacaf. And this just their latest reward for that effort.
They continue to take strides as they have done internationally. Welcome. You got to go out and eventually win some games like this, right? You and I were talking off air as could this be the biggest match within their organization's history? And whether you agree with that or not, you know, gone are the days where teams like Canada, the United States, in terms of world powerhouses, can just be pushed to the side by, you know, Italy and Germany and England. You have to go and win those games. And games like this, against such a talented Mexican squad, they make a statement at the senior level and know they're capable. World-class players, literally, at the disposal of John Hardman. Now if you can continue to provide the proper guidance, the younger age group, the belief becomes contagious. And even if just for a brief moment in a match, Mike, you can find a way to snag one and then lock it down, you pave the way for more greatness in the future.
Without doubt, the Gold Cup victory some 2 decades ago and the quarterfinal appearance in the last Olympics that Canada competed in back in 1984. Among the highlights, but for the youth national team, very few opportunities this caliber to announce yourself against opposition like Mexico. Canada appear to have found their sea legs a bit and have ultimately given the ball away cheaply on a touch foul from Buchanan.
Some interesting switches that, it's not that they were unpredictable were going to happen for Canada, but Zoran Basong has come to this left back side, and Marcus Godinho has gone over to the right. Just look at all the defenders that they have and the way that they're pinching. It looks like 5 at times because they compact everything. You have Zachary Broguillard, who in the marking back spot has slid himself a little bit higher, currently matched up with Roberto Alvarado. So when you start to spring the other direction, they're going to come from a much deeper lying position. You're asking more out of Tajon Buchanan. And it's going to be a strong shift up top for Charles Andreas Brim if they're going to have success.
Rodriguez swings it wide. He's on the ball again for Mexico in the 9th minute. Tracked by Metcalf. Both these sides automatically qualified into this tournament, part of the North American zone. As the other 5 teams in this 8-team field had a battle through Central America or the Caribbean. In the end, Honduras guarantees the first position for Concacaf. The other still hangs in the balance. Rodriguez against Godinho, finds Alvarado, and Pantemis goes to ground. There's a block along the way. Looked like Baldissimo got the initial touch. Corner, Mexico.
Notice the patience, though, and how quickly they can strike. They sit back, they start to go through the motions, and then the venom just pops its head out. Really well done on the rotation back over by Pantemis, recognizing that that threat was coming to the near post.
It's Alvarado again, starring for Cruz Azul. Alvarado's service. Again, another look at this, the man with 20 caps for El Tri. The byline, and again, Michael Baldissimo is there. Baldissimo only about 8 months removed from his debut in MLS. He matched up with one of the best in Liga MX. Service for Mexico off the corner is beyond Cordova.
Looks like he is going to allow Robiello, Colin Montgomery, to spearhead this defensive shape, coming back, as you mentioned, with an injury picked up in the first game. He's only 23 years of age, pretty promising pro. He's going to have David Norman Jr. and Marcus Godinho just in front of him, and the way that they're holding shape right now, Mike, if you look on the right-hand side, Godinho, who's your normal outside left marking back, slides over to the right. He'll have Broguillard in front of him, and because he's got the help, pretty impressively, I might add, Tajon Buchanan can afford to stretch a little bit further on that right-hand side. We already saw go 1v1 in that long 30-yard run. And that's what it's going to have to take. It's these little moments where you sit back, allow this play to go side by side, and make sure that you don't pick up any unnecessary cards to come back to haunt you, just like this from Basong.
Basong making peace with the referee. That was Antuna. Heel worth of studs to the top of the cleat for Antuna. Antuna certainly has plenty of support in the stadium tonight in Guadalajara, playing for Chivas. Chipped ahead, Antuna around the outside. Cuts that back, the ball had already gotten out. Goal won't count, Alvarado tapped it in for good measure.
All the rotation for them, it really is impressive with the speed as well, Mike. Really, Antuna and Roberto Alvarado, just 2 of them. Cordova can hang with them as well. Just little dinks up over the top. That's one that you can't allow to happen with the way that you've set up. Sitting with the 5, Basong, David Norman Jr. It's got to start from your main center back in Callum Montgomery, and Pantemis behind. It's got to be better communication because those balls cannot be allowed to come up over this back 5.
Make no mistake, the explosive nature of Alvarado and Antuna in the wide area makes playing condensed and trying to gum things up in the middle of the field all the more difficult. Basson last to touch it. Mauro Biello feels like this side is gradually improved, and to his point made the press conference following their qualification into the knockout stage against Mexico. Anytime you play a team like Mexico, you'll be better off afterward. Well aware of the challenge that lay ahead. Antuna, had that gotten through, Vega was unmarked. Esquivel. Basson. Diaz. Oh, look at Diaz run, and he won the foul.
This is what he's good for. Check out the footwork. Here's Diaz. He's a highly touted player coming out of the Sporting Risen program. He's made his way through all the youth ranks, and early Antuna, that's exactly what that's like. Santos youth who Manchester City, of course, took notice of a few years back. Loans, and now he's made his way back to Chivas, employing his trade. It's the recipe for success here for Canada. You know, you hang on for these attacks, try and find a way to go the other direction, because what Mexico will do, it's almost an over-assertion of cockiness at times. They know they're good. Trust me, they know exactly what they're capable of, and so they'll overcommit. It's not going to be Vega or Alvarado or Antuna. It's going to be all those three with the overlapping runs coming through. It's going to leave place in behind, so it's going to take an individual effort, quick counter, and loads of speed to be able to break this Mexican squad down.
Diaz has his arm fly up, and at the quarter-hour mark, commits the foul.
The argument behind the scenes, but it's the second time, and look good on Lucas Diaz stepping over, saying, "Hey, my apologies." Argument from Andreas Brim.
Well, and the creativity of Diaz is going to make him quite the target tonight. In the end, he's going to have to give it as much as he takes it, one would imagine.
I mean, I understand as well that with all that movement, quick flailing arms.
Vega. And Vega on the back of Baldissimo. Buchanan. Taken from Metcalf. Will belong to Mexico here. Think about Canada's run. They haven't allowed a goal in the run of play. Many of their players, as that did come off the hand of Metcalf, at this stage, just getting fit in preseason. It's a story we've heard before in these early months of the calendar year. But they did do enough to get to this stage. As it turns out, almost precisely enough.
Just like Honduras, they've gotten better every time they've stepped onto the field. That's all you can ask for as a manager. Continue to evolve, and the ideas that you're working on in the training ground, making sure that it's not just going through the motions, right? There's actual results. I'm not just talking about the score line. I said to you prior to the match with the United States and Honduras that game between those two, referencing the last group match for Honduras, was the best that they had played. It was pretty fun to watch.
Cordova continues. Pantemis off his line, took it off the chest and sends this out for a corner. And without doubt, it will take Canada's best tonight. Mexico leaping onto the front foot in the 19th.
It's got to be one of your favorite players to watch tonight, and this is why. You cannot turn a blind eye. Just check every single time you think this is going to get broken up. David Norman Jr. coming over, Basson getting involved. Sebastian Cordova does not care who it is. He just continues to push through.
Vega, header down and wide, inches wide. Esquivel leaning into that and just sent it whiskers wide of the post.
As if you needed another argument for an attacking weapon coming forward. How about your holding midfielder? Just going after every single player in a white jersey. Attacking with vengeance. Again, these threats coming through. There's plenty of players from Canada that have the ability to step in. They're just not rising up just yet.
Godinho. Spins back to Angulo. Clever from Antuna. Esquivel. Gire. Broguiar brings it back for Canada. 20 minutes gone. Scoreless in Guadalajara. Canada wins. Be their first trip to the Olympics since 1984. For Mexico, qualified for 3 of the past 4, 5 of the past 7 Olympic Games. Broguiar. Broguiar, brilliant bit of technical skill. In the end, he did keep that in. It's easy enough for Jurado. What a story, Sebastian Jurado. Plays for Cruz Azul. He was the Liga MX Rookie of the Tournament for Veracruz 2018-2019. Veracruz disaffiliated, became a free agent, steps into Cruz Azul, where he's been behind Jose de Jesus Corona. And for Jurado, stepping in with Luis Malagon going down to what appeared to be a fairly gruesome elbow injury. As a result, perhaps playing the biggest game of his young life. Buchanan is chopped down.
Let's figure out exactly what it looks like too when he's really starting to be tested, because very capable goalkeeper hasn't really had to face any efforts coming his direction. Speaking of which, Esquivel, the other end, trying to challenge Pantemis just outside that far post.
Pantemis did get that away narrowly. We've come to find just how tight the margins can be in these Olympic qualifying semifinals. Broguiar keeping his feet. What a run he made to try and turn the tide a bit.
Both he and Jean Buchanan on that right-hand side, finding marginal amount of success so far. Just recently, the past 5 minutes. But you have to keep yourself pinched here. Force Mexico to the outside. It's at this point in time, tactically, the way that things are set up. They're going to set the 5 and then going flat in the middle, allowing for these little needle pokes to try and find a way through on the other end offensively. You do not want Carlos Rodriguez and Cordova coming right down Route 1.
Buchanan swarmed by a convoy of Mexican players. That's a clean challenge. Diaz. Basson. Lucas Diaz again. Did well off the bench. Mauro Biello was asked whether or not they could start him in this knockout stage game. In the end, they chose to. Here's Mexico inching forward. Antuna's there, cuts this back, and there's Pantemis getting a giant piece. Pantemis is down. Ball escapes, belongs to Canada, and all eyes turn to the Canadian goalkeeper here.
Very rarely do I ever question Uriel Antuna. He's in an offside position. They let it play on. You have to wonder, one, why he doesn't go himself. He tries to play this ball square across. By the way, they're inside behind. This ball goes out in front. Vega was actually in an advanced position. He was in an offside position anyway. Poor decision-making from Antuna. Could have cost them a goal here.
And this is a big deal for Canada. There is simply not a lot of first-team experience at the club level behind him. And as Pantemis extended his arm there, and they're looking at his right shoulder. Canada will take a moment to breathe. We did have cooling breaks in the first game. These two semifinals between Honduras and the United States. The intention was not to have any in the second game. Matthew Noguera and Sebastian Breza, the available reserves in goal, should Pantemis be unable to continue. For now, the thumbs up. So he'll continue, but he continues to labor. And he may be under siege once more. Antuna on the cutback. There's Pantemis. And if there is an injury, it certainly hasn't taken from his bravery. He engulfs the ball.
Some of the shock is going to step up and spring you right back into action. This touch by Antuna, by the way, 9 times out of 10, most players are putting this out in front of them, but they're going to let it bounce and then try to knock it back across. Love the positive touch here from early Antuna. Puts him in a more dangerous position. More importantly, forces a decision out of Pantemis.
And now a decision for the referee. So far, he's avoided all that many cards. For now, tell Esquivel that's the end of the line if he wants to avoid a caution. Brim who got dumped. Set piece here for Diaz.
He can hit these too, by the way. Understand it. More than capable. Rough distance for sure. It's got to go vertical.
Diaz plays it forward, and it's out of the reach of both Brim and Norman.
It's definitely the right option at 27 minutes in, but he's got that in the back pocket. Further on, you want to have one from distance, because Diaz is capable of it.
Of note, Mexico led in the 22nd minute against the Dominican in their first group stage match, the 6th minute against Costa Rica, It wasn't until the 45th minute that Uriel Antuna scored against the United States. As we remain scoreless in this 28th minute of play now.
Should probably jump down there and let them know they're off pace on their average. See how Jaime Lozano feels about that comment.
It's a lofty, ambitious expectation.
There you go.
And make no mistake, the expectations on Mexico playing all the games in Guadalajara between Estadio Akron, the current home to Chivas, and Estadio Jalisco, one of the great historic stadiums of Mexico. Mexico's expected to not only qualify for the Olympics, they're expected to win the tournament.
Yeah, I was just going to say, please don't say qualify, because if they don't win all 5 games, it's a failure for them. That's how they view it. That's the aspirations they have for this talented squad as well. The performances that they've put forth so far, how could you doubt them? Far and away the favorite out of all 8 that have come through here.
And when you consider they've lost just 5 of their 53 matches all time in Olympic qualifying, they've lost fewer games than titles won in this competition. Pantomas with a missile. Odissimo is there again. He's done a decent job of breaking things up. But it is Mexico into the final third with plenty of numbers. Alvarado, Godinho, biked forward and maintained by Pantomas. Well, who knew that potentially you could ride a bike all the way to Tokyo, but Mexico was hoping.
Trying, but again, I go back to the point, Mike, that right now, Mexico has resorted themselves to try and work outside in, and good on Canada for doing it, because they can't combine with Rodriguez and Cordova in the middle. Alexis Vega, almost non-existent in that striker position up top. So many games before, we see him come back to hunt through the midfield. He's not. He's staying in that marking spot up top, really holding true to Callum Montgomery. No switch at all from Alvarado or Antuna. They've gone back and forth almost every single game that they've played in.
Skips to the halfway line. And recovered momentarily by the Canadians as Diaz watches this get away. Skittered wide by Norman. That Rodriguez. Scoreless, half an hour gone. Rodriguez. Alvarado awaits. Rodriguez there again. Godinho won it away for Canada. Brilliant. And certainly that man drawing the ire of the thousands that are together at Estadio Jalisco. Angulo plays his club ball on this very field. Atlas skips through to Pantomas. Good leading ball forward. Maybe there's something here for Brim. Angulo arrives in the nick of time.
Fine right now. Now just catch your breath. You've chased for the past 5 minutes. Slow things down for a second. Allow yourself to regroup. Make sure you have proper shape before you get back into play, and then see if you can start to have a little fun in the final third on your own.
Brim down again. Esquivel.
Outside of the opening minute jitters from Basson. That outside back position, letting Antuna get in behind. Been pretty steady so far. David Norman Jr. doing a good job. But it's all 5 of them, to be fair.
Look forward to seeing him make a real impact in Montreal next year.
Yep.
Ball slipped ahead. There is a bit of contact. And the referee, no whistle. And what could ultimately be a critical moment in deciding who moves to the Olympic Games. Is there enough here, Dev?
I don't see it. I mean, he clips his own foot on the bottom of the ground for sure. Notice that he's already leaning at the top of the 18, just outside. There's a better look. 2 different angles. It's a difficult one for me, Mike, honestly. I'll put it this way, and I know people hate hearing this. It's subjective. That's the referee at that point in time, in that situation, the angle that he has and what he's feeling. If you told me that that was a penalty, I would be a bit more surprised than that it's not. But I've also seen penalties called for less.
Well, Cordova continued his discussion with the referee, an impassioned one.
Well, my biggest issue there, and I agree with it, is that he's already leaning into it. It's almost like Cordova is already going to ground, and then there is a tiny clip, but the problem is his own foot stubs through the ground as well.
The hold of the wrist by Norman, does that change your...
Not whatsoever. Okay. Again, the lean's already happening. Any contact at that point in time when the body's already in a forward motion, referees understand that attackers are looking for that, especially right around the penalty mark.
Antuna draws applause. Lorona, header steered back across. Alvarado is there. They'll recycle. Lorona. Antuna. Aguirre, who was in Olympic qualifying best 11 selection in 2015, did feature in the 2016 Olympics. Antuna.
His first step is insane. I mean, it is next level stuff to watch Aurelien Antuna. And these tiny little movements. And you see the ball coming inside, and immediately you know that the minute it leaves his foot, he's going to jump around the back shoulder and take off down to the corner. But even when the angle's closed down and the proximity seems like it's much too close for him to get to it, he finds a way.
Corner from Mexico, steered over Cordova. A guy who scored 8 goals in 16 games for the Mexican national team. Certainly impressed at times with LA Galaxy in 2019 on loan. No questioning the talent of Antuna. Spent that time at Manchester City after coming out of the Santos Laguna Academy.
Well, and the argument for him was once he went to Manchester City, you know, the 2 loans, Galaxy you mentioned, and he was in Groningen and Holland. It was that he didn't have enough regular repetitions to boost his confidence. He admits he's the type of player, he needs the culture, he needs to have confidence. Doesn't want to be one of those utility players coming off the bench or even, you know, minimal starts. He wants to be the one to be in the spotlight, leading the charge, and that's what he's done in this tournament.
Clash of heads as Esquivel remains down.
Ooh. Oh, this isn't going to end up well for either party.
No, Baldissimo.
Ooh. Look away.
Look at some of the fans watching from elsewhere.
That's those kids' bedtime, isn't it? Because it depends on the house.
True.
Past my bedtime.
When Mexico plays, I'm not sure anyone's in any hurry to go to sleep.
Fair enough.
Naturally, one has to worry about the ongoing effects of head injuries to the game. In the proper time here, given to both. We hope both can continue. It's more important that they make the right decision moving forward. Baldissimo certainly caught the worst end of this. As he gets back to his feet, he won't need a stretcher, but one wonders whether he'll be able to continue or not. And being 7 minutes out from halftime, Canada will likely have to make a decision one way or the other.
You would hate to lose Baldissimo. You know, the interesting thing about their midfield, Michael Baldissimo and Patrick Metcalf, ever steady is the way that I describe them. They're not going to blow you off the map with wonder skills like you're going to see from Antuna or Cordova, but they're consistent, just steady as they go, do their job. Metcalf stretching the game a bit further vertically than Baldissimo. They've done a really good job here in the first half, and it's going to take a second. Looks like he's on the far side, ready to make his way back in. He will.
Shot out of a cannon, trying to get back into position. Return to Cordova. Baldissimo is there to clean up the mess. Not a lot in that, but Vega did go down. Has a bit of something on his shoe.
JJ Macias.
And there's some high caliber weapons on the bench. Macias certainly top of list.
I don't even know if that verbiage is doing it justice.
This does bring a dangerous set piece in the 40th minute. It appears Alvarado and Vega be top of mind to take it. It's a long way out to try and beat Pantomas, all things considered. The step over, Alvarado chips. Not a bad idea, but a long way out for Angulo.
I've actually seen them run that 3 different ways. If it has been a direct strike, the other one is the little touch off to Vega. You see the step over and you see someone else stepping up, almost like, okay, he's going to dink this in now, lay it off and let him go direct. Questions to be had for Jaime Lozano at halftime. Needs to find a way to get Cordova and Carlos Rodriguez more involved in the play. Alexis Vega started to check down in a bit more. There you go. He had started to check down in a bit more. They haven't been able to find his feet, but the space is there.
Buchanan, a positive step. Referee provides a screen. Buchanan, a blast. Well over the crossbar.
Some of this is just frustration by Tejan Buchanan, a really talented individual who wants to be out running. And his first 3 group matches, he was given the liberty to do so. Those opportunities will be few and far between tonight against Mexico. It's really only the second time we've seen him progress inside 40 yards from Sebastian Morado's goal. So you can't blame him for having to try.
Remember, Canada, their last time out, would ultimately decided the group in Group B against Honduras. 1 shot on goal, but it was the opening goal of the game by Cornelius. Picked up a knock in the final 20 minutes, and the Canadian center back available on the bench, but unable to start. He has lost it. Reminder, as a foul there, that 5 years ago, when these teams met in the semifinal, there was a safety net, so to speak, a CONCACAF CONMEBOL playoff, essentially 2.5 slots allotted to CONCACAF. In the end, Canada fell 2-0 in the semifinal to Mexico and then lost the 3rd place game to the United States. That doesn't exist this time around, so only the winner of this game moves forward and completes the 16-team field in Tokyo, joining Honduras as representatives of the region. It's Broguiar in the middle of this, and Cordova certainly has had enough.
fair, Broguiar gets away with one here. I'm not talking about the challenge on Sebastian Cordova. It's a quick counter. A lot of space here. Mexico to run at him. Cordova recognizes it. Broguiar just trying to track back here, and he's a bit coy with his actions. Stays in on that inside. Cordova pulls up, which probably gets him in trouble. Referee much more restricted from behind, and no linesman on that side. Super dangerous they are from set pieces, this Mexican squad. As mentioned before, they give you the same look 3 times in a row with 3 different outcomes.
This ball launched. Pantemis does make the grab as the far post runs were percolating. Chief among them, Angulo. Minute and a half from halftime. Flick of the heels provided by Buchanan. To say things are coming up roses for Tejan Buchanan these days. Started Syracuse, played for Sigma in the Toronto area. Drafted by New England in the first round of the 2019 MLS draft. And worked himself thoroughly into the mix with the Revs a year ago under Bruce Arena. And a couple of critical goals for Canada to qualify for the knockout stage. Culminated with him being named the Canadian Youth International Player of the Year in 2020. The Mexican players converging there, and it's opened up some space for Canada nearing the stroke of halftime. Buchanan did get the shot away, and finally they have tested Jurado.
I told you he's not afraid, and the problem is he just doesn't catch this square. All the hard work done by Tejan Buchanan, with the final product just narrowly escaping him. Comes across the ball instead of catching it on the valve. It's direct opposite of the strikes that he had in the opening match.
Ladies and gentlemen, the court official on the sideline has indicated that there will be a minimum of 3 minutes
2 goals in that outing.
in the first half.
3 added minutes. Cordova grabbed again. Broguiar ran out of warnings, shown yellow.
Well, I'm not arguing the foul here by Broguiar, but to be fair, Marcus Cadinho, same thing on the other end. And that's just too many in a row. It's off for sure. It is a foul. But referees had to come back to Broguiar. It's the 4th time now. So you've seen the long ball to the back post with the redirect across the middle. You've seen Alexis Vega go the direct option where it reaches that gray area of a shot to allow some sort of interference on the back post. They have trickery up their sleeve. You wonder at what point in time do they go that direction. This doesn't look like the look, but you've got a striker about 35 yards from net with a lot of space just outside the 18. Do you have the option to come square?
Alvarado, Antuna. Canada's proven a worthy adversary in this first half.
One would argue that you talked about their leads in matches past. What was it, 22nd, 27th, and 45th? Something like that? I know the 45th versus the United States.
Indeed, yeah. The 6th minute against Costa Rica, 22nd against the Dominican Republic. So an average of about the 25th or 30th minute.
And one would also argue that the better of their play has definitely come in the second half, and not just because of the goals.
will be a throw. For Canada, they've run on fumes a few times, and Buchanan, a look of disgust on his face as he stares back at Lerona, and this is really heated now. Jerseys tugged from skins, players being dragged apart. The Mexican bench is in the midst of it on this end of the field. And might be as good a time as any to blow the halftime whistle and allow these tempers to simmer. Vega and Diaz have made peace.
You can hear the shouts coming from the refereeing crew on the sideline. Tejan Buchanan gets himself into trouble with Vladimir Lerona. Lerona has really gotten knocked a couple times this first half. You can forget the outstretched arm of Lucas Diaz that caught him across the grill. It's just escalated after it. I'm ready for a break. It's too exciting for me.
There it is, halftime. And this crowd in Mexico expected some type of entertaining show. That's not what they've been given. These Canadians have come in to Guadalajara and continued to impress. They go into the halftime break on level terms, Dev.
It's a good shift for Morbiello's squad, and understand that for Mexico, that's fine. If they're going to sit Canada and they're going to dare you to come beat them, you have to find a way to start to give them different looks, and they haven't done that yet. Alexis Vega has got to be the catalyst in the second half. We can talk more about that at halftime when we go over the highlights, but good shift for Canada. Mexico has to be better.
So it is.
Damas y caballeros, la tarjeta amarilla para el número 7, Tacón Bucana del equipo Canadá al minuto 45. Y tarjeta amarilla para el número 2 de México, Vladimir Loroña, al minuto 45.
Ladies and gentlemen, yellow card issued to number 7, Tacón Bucana from Canada into minute 45. And yellow card issued to number 2, Vladimir Loroña from Mexico into minute 45.
No tiene condiciones. Solo puede comprar, ahorrar o hacer transferencias. Contrata el minuto 6 sugar.com.mx/cuenta digital. Abre tu cuenta donde estés. No tiene condiciones. Solo puede comprar, ahorrar o hacer transferencias. Contrata el minuto 6 sugar.com.mx/cuenta digital.
Baja la app oficial de Concacaf para obtener toda la información del torneo y los partidos.
Download the official Concacaf app to get the latest tournament information.
Su atención, por favor. Los 5 primeros ganadores de la camiseta de la selección nacional son el número 1058, repito, número 1058, el número 807, repito, el número 807, el número 17, número 17, el número 2579, repito, el número 2579, y el número 8. Número 8. Favor de pasar al finalizar el partido a la caseta de Leones Negros, ubicada en la puerta 1. Estén pendientes, al final del partido anunciaremos a los 5 ganadores restantes. Sigue la acción en las redes sociales de Concacaf.
Follow the action on the Concacaf.
CONCACAF Men's Olympic Qualifying. Beautiful Guadalajara, Mexico. Certainly plenty of Mexican fans making their way in, following the protocols. As the COVID-19 pandemic rages on, the semifinals of a tournament postponed a year. The winner going to the Olympics, postponed 12 months as well, as Mexico and Canada meet in a matchup of North American zone auto qualifiers into the tournament. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, Alvarado opening salvo here.
Yeah, good goalkeeping here by James Pantemis. And, you know, the attacks weren't going to come in waves like we've seen in matches before for the Mexican squad. Instead, this was choppy, you know, and it was choppy on both sides. A couple cards thrown around. Lucas Diaz getting involved with Vladimir Lorona. If you're just joining us now, Lorona would get knocked around a few times in the first half as well. And, you know, this is a pretty good header. Thought this had glory written all over it for Jose Esquivel. Puts it on a platter, trying to pick out that bottom corner. Pantemis is beat, but the goal had other ideas.
And Pantemis would ultimately be down for a few moments after swiping that ball away moments later. And then we saw the physicality of this game rear its head time and time again in the final 20 minutes of the half.
I haven't exactly been able to put my finger on what is a card and what isn't a card, but they would start to be brandished towards the tail end of the first half. Some pretty impressive tactical play and some questionable calls. This was one of them. Is it a foul? I'll tell you what, you get different angles to give you different answers. You don't see one there, but from the reverse angle, there's a bit more of a knock. David Norman Jr., watch that back left foot. There's the touch. As mentioned on air, Esquivel plays the ball through. Cordova already looking for the challenge. This one, again, look away. There's Esquivel and Baldissimo. This is going to leave a mark and sting for both of them. Canada showed a couple glimpses on the offensive side of the ball. Tejan Buchanan provided some relief, but again, we were always asking more from this Mexican squad moving forward, right? Even the little ticky-tack fouls from Broguiar that would end up in the book. That was the yellow card right at the 45th minute. Give them an opportunity, serve to the back post. Tejan Buchanan would have an effort on the other end when he started to cut things back. And this is the little dust-up just before halftime. Bench is clearing, out of the bullpen and everything. Come on, boys. Let's have a little fun. Separation. Blow that halftime whistle. Let's get out of here.
And a rare moment where the referee is the happiest one for the halftime whistle. Had just given out a couple of yellow cards, and he finally sends us to a break. Here are the halftime statistics, and nothing here should really be all that surprising, but the score line is indicative of the fact Canada has not only hung around, but they've thrown a couple punches themselves.
You ask me how they could win. This is it. They're doing it. But understand that this Mexican squad is going to give you another look, and not just one. The waves will start to come. Alexis Vega will start to be more active. Cordova will start to explore the exterior of the field a bit more. Watch Antuna and Alvarado start to switch and cut in. Again, too many options for them moving forward, and they have not even started to explore the depths of their offensive prowess.
Well, the lights are on at Estadio Jalisco, and certainly the spotlight very much now on this Mexican team, a heavy favorite. And at the halftime break, Mexico 0, Canada 0.
The official Concacaf app. No matter where you are or who you're rooting for, you can watch your favorite competitions, teams, and players on the go. Get the latest news on all things Concacaf. Get access to stats, play-by-play, players' information, schedule, and standings. Get instant notifications and alerts. Discover other fans like you. And show your support in social media with our exclusive camera filters. All of that and much more. Take your Concacaf experience to the next level. Download now the official Concacaf app, available on the App Store and Google Play.
Right through the legs for Bello. This could be good for Atlanta. Another big save.
Vela in! Serves here, has a snap, and it's in! Tigres equalize. Lays this off, the shot is on and in! Genius! Tigres win Concacaf Champions League in 2020. back in Guadalajara. So glad you've joined us with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. One remaining Olympic position remains in men's football, and it'll be decided potentially in the next 45 minutes. Mexico, Canada, scoreless at the break. The opening whistle, a false start, and we're back underway. No goals in that first half. There were 3 yellow cards, so Zachary Broguiar and Tejan Buchanan on yellows for Canada, Vladimir Lorona for Mexico. Dev, if you're Canada, what's the conversation look like at the break?
Well, for the opening few minutes, it's going to be wash, rinse, and repeat to see exactly what Mexico's going to throw at you. And there's what I was talking about, Vega dropping down deeper. Don't be surprised if you start to see a few more overlapping runs coming out of the midfield. See if you can get Aguirre and Lorona involved in the attack as well. They're great at distribution for sure, but as soon as you start to pinch a bit more, they have to come from somewhere. And we've seen it from Carlos Rodriguez and Sebastian Cordova. So how much trickery are they going to show you immediately?
Cordova. Norman follows him outside the penalty area. Cordova again. That's a moment to be careful. Referee gave it a long look. Ultimately, Cordova did not have a really good position to win a penalty there.
And he was also leaning into it again, just like the challenge in the first half. On the other end in the dust-up. A through ball by Esquivel, challenged by David Norman Jr.
Conversely, Devin, players wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
That's right.
Anytime you force a referee to make a decision, oftentimes a judgment call or a subjective one at the snap of a finger can be very, very difficult.
Well, those boundaries are made to be broken for a reason, right? You know, verbally, they're going to test it. Physically, you're going to keep challenging each other. And in games like this, the emotion is only going to push higher and higher. And I think you got a real good look at that just before halftime when Vladimir Lorona and Tejan Buchanan started to drop their guard right here on this near touchline in front of us.
Clever. Diaz again got his hand elevated a bit. He gave the ball away regardless. Aguirre. Buchanan started inward. Lorona. Beyond Antuna. Metcalf. Plowed through by Cordova.
I have a feeling the way that these little knocks are coming, a few more cards will be brandished here in the second half.
Esquivel. And higher pressure from Canada on this back line. Looked like they had a chance there to take over. Basson watched that slip away.
Interestingly enough, Tejan Buchanan has actually come over to the left now with Diaz running alongside Charles Andreas Brim. Just look at the shape on the back line right now as Broguiard moves himself in a much more advanced role. But they were a pretty stereotypical 5 in the first half. Good turnover here, nice pressure.
And struck from a long way out. That's going to be uncomfortable for Jurado at all. Good to see Brim on the ball there for a moment, though. Has capped and scored the full Canadian national team. You think about this Mexican side. You had all of them up, over 3,000 total appearances as professionals among the 20 players on the Mexican roster. Take transfer market as an active barometer of value, as little or as much as you want. But 88 million is considered the value of the players on this Mexican under-23 roster. matter how you slice it, they're experienced and incredibly talented. Alvarado goes down here.
Just upon the attacks they've shown us, it is interesting that you're seeing another set piece opportunity for Mexico. 3 of these, almost the exact same spot in the first half. Very dangerous. From here, I wonder if there's Vega peeling off now. A foot in swinger. I just sort of wonder, is there a little layoff, touchback, and then a strike? Go direct again.
Ball wound forward. Circling around Antuna. Brim wins the throw. Last Canadian win in Olympic qualifying against Mexico, 1983, in a game played in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Proud of that place. I'd visit, I wouldn't live, you know?
Sure.
It's a much more traditional 4 that they've moved into here, at least at the start of the second half for the Canadian squad. Look at how high Broguillard is. They're really trying to dare themselves to be great on the offensive side of the ball. They're also opening up much more space for Mexico to start to play through. Taking risk. Is it worth the reward at this point in time in the match?
Free kick here for Canada. Does the fact that the altitude, certainly the heat that's been played in throughout this tournament, and the nature of the fitness of some of these Canadian players, is it possible that they believe the best opportunity for them is to try and strike out at halftime and then perhaps gradually regress should they not get that goal?
It's one argument, yeah, for sure. I mean, the other side of it is if you stay in 5, you're defending less, and I use that term very carefully because obviously they're all putting in massive shifts, but with that block of 5, there's more chasing in the sense that, yes, you're going to succeed some possession to Mexico for sure. But then on the offensive side of the ball, when you go into 4, you're going to have to do a lot more running. So, you know, it's a tit for tat. I think it's just sort of a point of view of what you're looking to do right now. There's no right or wrong to that argument.
By the way, that aforementioned Olympic qualifying victory for Canada against Mexico was before Olympic qualifying became an under-23 tournament. To put that in some perspective. Mexico calm in possession at this stage. No team completed more passes or scored more goals in their 3 group stage games than Mexico did. And Gulo did enough to keep this moving forward, and he's making a long run forward. Cordova.
Yeah, it's just frustration. You'd expect more out of Cordova. Well done on this back line to break the initial line of pressure. There's different levels to this entire movement coming forward, and as soon as it's laid off, he's got a few options. Get a good look at Angulo coming off the back line, who continued his run. Dip this over to the right shoulder, lay it down in the corner, whip one in. Instead, selfishly just drops it up over top. Not the best effort, Cordova.
Bounding ball ahead, Buchanan. Did keep that in. As a result, Aguirre sends it away. Ball threaded ahead. The challenge was dangerous. It's a yellow to Norman. And this, to an extent, surely relates to the many different ways in which a referee has to acknowledge and decide upon a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
That's the argument coming from Aurelian Tuna right now, but this play all starts with guess who? Alexis Vega back on the other side, coming really deep in his own territory. It's a magnificent turn back to the interior to slip this one through to Aurelian Tuna. Now, after everything we've seen, this will be on goal. I promise you.
The depth would certainly lead one to believe. The wall for Canada aligns. Alvarado can provide the spectacular. Vega could decide to hook this for goal himself.
He changed his boots at halftime. Alexis Vega. The All Blacks that he's worn the entire tournament. He switched it up here. Little luck in those instead.
Vega or Alvarado? It is Vega. He did go into the wall. Alvarado lashed. That caromed back to him. He sends it out of play. In the end, both had a chance.
This thing was hit with a vengeance on the second chance opportunity for Alvarado. Wondered if he could be able to get enough power on it because his momentum's coming forward. There's going to be a massive blast for sure, but can he get it on frame? From that vertical view, you can see it's much closer real time.
Scoreless, 57th minute. We could be seeing Canadian history in real time right now. There are some players on this Canadian qualifying roster who were not alive when Canada won the Gold Cup over 2 decades ago, and certainly none were aware of the last time that this Canadian program reached the Olympic Games. Pantemis. Rodriguez took it away, and it is sliced in by Mexico. There's your goal. It's Antuna again. And a semifinal round marked by goalkeeping errors.
Mike, you can say anything you want to about the talented individual that is Aurelian Tuna, and I'm not taking anything away because there's still a lot of work to be done here. But there are multiple poor decisions made here. Did Montgomery need to go all the way back? Thought he could have turned and just knocked this out. When it gets back to Pantemis, why, oh why, is this just not knocked away, number one? And two, how does it end up right down the middle? 3, you get hung out. You cannot lead with your feet here. You've got coverage on the inside by David Norman Jr. You've got to push the attacker to the outside. His hand's got to be out. Make himself big. You make it too easy for Aurelian Tuna to punish you.
Playing for Chivas in Guadalajara, and with so many Chivas jerseys packed into the venue tonight. Antuna, this time with an El Tri emblem on his shirt, picks up his second go-ahead goal in as many games. First against the United States to win the group, and potentially now to punch a ticket to Tokyo. With the winner of this match moving on to the Summer Olympics, and a chance to win the Olympic qualifying championship as well. Hugely significant moment here for Canada. Alvarado. They simply have to stand up to this challenge now. Antuna knocks it wide. Rodriguez. This is the longest it took through 4 games for Mexico to score. Came in the 57th minute. Both sides will adjust. JJ Macias will come on for Mexico. End of the night for Lucas Diaz. That's Theo Bear. Bayou Tabla will come on as well. Fresh legs with half an hour to go up front.
And you wonder whether or not they're going to allow Bayou to hang tight up top on his own. I would imagine Jean Buchanan is going to play a more advanced role now. Bayou Tabla can go out to that left-hand wing.
Thoughts on Alvarado's performance?
Good enough, not great. You know, at no point in time have I thought that really anyone wearing the Mexico shirt right now has been fantastic. The back line has done its job. Other than that, moving forward, you would expect more. Esquivel's been pretty good in midfield, but you expect more out of the front three. And with the addition of JJ Macias, the key question is going to be now, one, are you going to move Alexis Vega out to that left-hand wing that we saw the way they did versus United Statesmen's national team? And two, are they going to stick with three in the midfield with just Esquivel, or will they go back to two holding midfielders with the lead that retains more possession? And you're going to make Canada chase a bit more if you do that. And I would imagine at this point in time in the 62nd minute, they're going to continue to go with pressure and be hungry and find a second goal. But as the game progresses, don't be surprised if you see them switch that pivot a bit more inside.
Pressure suddenly stifling for Mexico. Every team plays better with a wind at their back, and that confidence for Mexico brimming. Montgomery was able to play that away in the initial stages. There is a horrible irony, Devin. The fact that the two goalkeepers, you would argue, played the best of anyone in the group stage. David Ochoa for the United States and James Pantemis now for Canada have conceded goals largely of their own doing. Just painful experiences for a young goalkeeper in a position where I think most would argue the prime of a player is much later than any field position player. These are lessons almost exclusively learned on the field of play in real competition, and this is certainly that. This is a foul for Metcalf.
There's Alexis Vega coming out to this left-hand wing. I'd love to hear the story. If we can find someone why, to get on it, I should say, as to why. Change of the shoes at halftime. I didn't feel the grip was right there. Studs weren't long enough.
Set piece, Mexico. Dangerous ball, header, smacks off the post, and now it's in. Mexico's lead, double now, Johan Vasquez.
Is this the dagger that knocks Canada out? Mauro Biello beside himself on the sideline. He knows this was a hard one to give away. But as poor as the decision one on the first one by Pantemis to clear, this is just individual brilliance and a little luck on the backside of it. Watch the English on this ball whipped in by Cordova. Great job by Vasquez to get in behind. But look, too much room, to be fair, in between Montgomery and the trailing run by Broguillard. Magically struck in between. There's a much better look as David Norman Jr. doesn't drift across either. Too many white bodies to allow him to slide just in between. And even with the kiss off the post, they're happy to take it any way they can get it if it gets into the final match.
And Callum Montgomery trying to slip to ground in time to let that ball eke by. All the venom which that hit the post, firing back into play. Vasquez ultimately does touch it as it neared the line. Aiden Daniels has come on. Transferred from Colorado Springs to Oklahoma City in the American Second Division, the USL Championship.
Well, this is going to go one of two ways in the next 10 minutes, Mike. And I might even say 5 is Canada's going after this thing, and I understand that. Aiden Daniels coming on, attacking option. They're going to go exclusively to 4 at the back, and I had already said to you they were showing a shift of that nature. When you resort yourself with this Mexican squad to going 4,
Cordova, chance to line this home, and Rodriguez had that pickup off the turf, unenviably out goal kick. And maybe that might be your answer, Devin.
This is exactly what happens, right? So you allow your more space in terms of attacking options to move into the final third. The problem is if you don't get it right immediately, this Mexican team will show you how it's done. Alexis Vega, Cordova combining for 3 of the goals in their opening round match. And just that last trailing run by Carlos Rodriguez, who also was the recipient of a magnificent ball from Cordova a few matches back for his goal.
We saw the United States get a goal against Honduras that certainly lit a fire. In the end, they had a chance to equalize in the dying minutes, but it wasn't nearly enough. If Canada can find a goal here in this semifinal, Rodriguez, well, that left Pantemis steady as a stone, flies out.
Curler. It's unfortunate it didn't keep bending. It just kind of died once it hit the turf. And this is more of the look that we saw in the Canadian squad in terms of their tactical formations, where Tajon Buchanan is now gone out to the left wing. And you'll see a look that's going to look flat across the floor when they defend. Aiden Daniels will drop down in and try and remove the distributing ideas from, say, Esquivel. Push 2 up top, and it'll go to 3 at times with Tajon Buchanan helping out, but gotta watch out for this man.
Antuna again. Macias. Pantemis got enough. Godinho sends it away. And it's coming apart at the seams right now. And this Canadian team only being hounded forward by the fans in attendance in Guadalajara.
Like for JJ Macias, who hasn't exactly had the greatest tournament. It's a world-class touch that he just takes right now. Not the strike, the one that allows him to get the strike on goal. Watch the balls behind him as he flicks this down into Uriel Antuna. Watch Macias just waiting for it. It's behind him. He's got to set it up. He can only put it in one spot. Takes it off the outside of his right foot. And he's got about a ½ inch to work with. Even through the legs of Callum Montgomery. It's a good save by Pantemis to keep his team in it.
Buchanan seeks out a bit of magic at this stage. Basson. Still all business at this stage for Jaime Lozano. 42-year-old, named the manager back in December of 2018 for the Mexican under-23s. Third place at the 2019 Toulon tournament in France. Third place in the Pan American Games. Won the under-20 Liga MX title as a manager. Capped 34 times for the national team. This may be one of the sweetest results he's attained as a manager if he can maintain it.
They're still hungry, though. And their eyes on the prize in terms of Tokyo for sure, but they're going to want another goal here. They're going to want to go win the final. Unrelenting pressure from start to finish, whether it be first half, second half, 90 minutes in tournament. Top to bottom, best team in this tournament so far, easily. And it's not even an argument.
Set piece, Mexico, 72nd minute. Launched forward, Antuna was eking toward the end line. Belongs to Mexico here. I think you can tell in the language. Most, I'd say probably the other 7 teams all said to some extent, we're here to qualify. Mexico said, we're here to win 5 games.
Yeah. And then some.
There is an inherent hunger to this group right now. And I think the fact that the 2012 Olympic gold is still so highly exalted, and some of those players, of course, still playing massive roles in the Mexican League on the international stage. There is a certain gravitas in the Olympic tournament, I think, in Mexico still. Set piece, Canada. Driven forward, there's a whistle, and Gulo had gone to ground. Lorona remains down.
A couple injuries today that the head-to-head challenges, right? Both matches, indirectly or not. Just looking over the roster from that gold medal winning team, by the way. Jose de Jesus Corona.
Still going strong.
Jorge Enriquez, Raul Jimenez, Oribe Peralta, Marco Fabian. It's not a bad team. It's not bad at all.
That's an understatement. Vega. Macias.
I would imagine with the way that they're starting to knock the ball around now, you're going to see some of the better footballing exploits from the Mexico squad tonight. Starting to feel themselves, and it's easy to say, of course, because Canada's chasing a bit more, but they're not the type to just knock it and run. There's a swagger to this team that they want to show off. Again, I said cockiness, full display. Here it comes.
Cordova. There's a tug there from Montgomery. That was enough to disrupt. This is a Mexico side that completed about 415, 420 passes a game in the group stage. 2 of those, however, were laughers by the time it was over. 3-goal margins. Surely there's still work to be done here for Canada. 15 minutes. 1 goal can change the complexion of everything in short order. But right now, Mexico has a firm grip with Antuna's goal in the 57th and Vasquez in the 65th. Vega. Good step by Godinho. Aguirre. Godinho went down.
It's just not enough. Cordova's looking for it. Look, I get it. There's the tug, but every defender in the world is going to pull the same move in that situation. It's the weak side tug, shoulder on shoulder. As the ball's moving away from you, it's one of the most difficult ones for the referee to see.
Two Mexican changes. Captain Aguirre has already seated the armband. Ricardo Angulo comes on. And Mayorga in here in the 77th minute.
Saving the big boys' legs for the final. Sitting it down, let him get a rest.
All the while, here comes Cordova. Stood up. The effort from Tabla.
Oh, the run had actually stopped here from Aguirre just before he goes off. Well done by Vega. Little pomp and circumstance before the curtain call.
Wouldn't be atypical. Tabla. He slides down. Referees given the foul. Tabla, of course, remains one of the most enigmatic players to come out of Canada of late.
Things didn't exactly go to plan in his time at Barcelona, but look, he's still got that quick rapid-fire explosion into the final third, which gives them this set-piece opportunity. Even though they aren't playing very well, still a great chance for Canada here to maybe pick one off. Baldissimo, excellent ball striker, great distributor who normally works from the interior. Can he find a way to maybe pick out one of the big bodies? Callum Montgomery, David Norman Jr.
Baldissimo. Ball sprinted off the head of the Mexican defender, and here comes Mexico flying in formation. So go beyond Macias. Cordova, Antuna, dropped that off right at the penalty spot, and Macias' run had dragged too far wide. Pablo stuck with it. Metcalf. Metcalf. That was a decent looking ball. Macias. Antuna. Antuna chopped down. And an extra kick afterward from Norman. Norman was on a yellow card. For now, Besson. issued the only caution for the moment.
It's just uncalled for here. Trying to repay the favor. This is a dangerous tackle on Uriel Antuna. Just adding insult to injury, David Norman Jr. was lucky, to be honest. That'll be his final warning for sure, sitting on the yellow card that he picked up all the way back in the 55th minute. Canada did not like the little shrug from Uriel Antuna before he broke free. It's been much better from their movement on set pieces, rewarded with a goal last time out.
Tabla and Baldissimo looking to set the wall. Nine minutes and stoppage away from Mexico reaching yet another Olympic final. Header, snap back, and Pantomis picks it up. All this Olympic qualifying to be one of the 16 teams go to the Olympic Games. Both these teams, it was a simple 3-game group stage. For 5 of the teams, a much longer road to make it to Guadalajara. As it stands now, Mexico 2 goals up, as was the case when these teams met in the semifinal 5 years ago en route to Rio. Abzi comes on, Montgomery off. You'd have to say somewhat valiant from Callum Montgomery, who was injured against El Salvador, and I think many believed it would be doubtful for him to get back into this tournament at all, much less start and play 82 minutes.
It's a big ask, especially considering the fact that when they switched the formation, got a guy who hasn't had any repetitions. That'll be the end of the night for Michael Baldissimo, much to his chagrin. Ryan Raposo step on. Frustration for young Michael Baldissimo. Good tournament for him, though. Played very well.
Couple of players now from Syracuse University on the field now. Buchanan and Ryan Raposo both honed their craft under Ian McIntyre there. The full allotment of subs for Canada. Rodriguez comes off. Alan Cervantes, 23-year-old native of Guadalajara, playing for Santos Laguna in League MX. Surprised at all that we still see Antuna, Cordova on the field at this stage?
Not necessarily. You've already taken off Francis Vega. You have to keep something on, right? You took off Alvarado as well, so start removing all of your attacking options. There's got to still be some spark, some outlet as this back line. We'll see a bit more action, at least you would hope if you're Canada. You know, funny how they sat the entire time and had a couple opportunities in the first half. The minute that they started to venture out, and I understand you're down 1-0, but the minute that that happens, they haven't had any chances going forward.
Chance lashed and sent back from Angulo.
The other side of that is that Cordova did not play that matchup against the United States men's national team. So sitting on a full 90 minutes of rest. Keeping that rust off his quality as well. Look at the speed from Antuna. I mean, 85th minute up 2-0, you would never know.
Abzi had just come into the game. (2-0) Mexico. Interestingly enough, all 4 nations represented in these Concacaf men's Olympic qualifying semifinals will have some Olympic football to look forward to this summer, should this scoreline hold. A slip to the edge of the penalty area. Raposo. Teasing, but beyond Buchanan. Abzi couldn't maintain this. Canadian women's national team and the U.S. women's national team will both head to Tokyo. And as of now, it appears the Mexican men's national team and the Honduran men's national team will make their way to Tokyo.
I was wondering where you're going with that. I said, oh, will they?
Yeah. Continued excellence of Christine Sinclair and company. Perhaps there's something special there for Canada and Tokyo. And this Mexican side, as it stands right now, clearly have demonstrated where they belong in CONCACAF in this age group. Chance to add 3 overage players. Continue to hone in on a few more in the under-23 pool if they choose to. Have the makings of a team that surely thinks they can compete to get to the medal round again.
Oh, they can make a run at it for sure. I think you just touched on, you know, what does this assembly of players look like come tournament time? You know, how much do you continue to trust what's been put in front of you so far as opposed to maybe digging down in and playing with a few more toys? Well, that was one of the arguments for what could have been the United States men's national team. And any country could make that argument, right? Make sure to keep everybody healthy. There's a long time between now and then. Domestic play, get back to your clubs. What sort of form are you in? It's definitely something to think about for the managers and the federations as they hone in on this roster.
And we've come to see plenty of injuries over the course of these 4 games that all these knockout stage sides have had. You do get a slightly expanded roster when you get to Tokyo, but you're still, as this ball swung across, skips out the other side, still going to be looking for versatility and looking for the right players from your under-23s and the perfect places to use your overage players. It's going to be fascinating.
The argument for Mexico, for instance, moving forward is it isn't going to be, you know, what are they capable of? It's can you put that all together come the Olympics? You know, I said to you, probably the most, say, widely known attacking talent for this squad is JJ Macias. And, you know, by no means has he been anywhere near his capability within these 4 matches that they've played so far. Sat the first game, substitute in the second, started the third, and just came on as a sub in this game. And still, you're waiting for, I don't even want to say the best of him to come out. But that's the type of player that you want to win a gold medal, you need the most out of JJ Macias. Not just Antuna, or Antuna and Cordova in one game. You know you're going to have your leaders. You lost your goalkeeper as well. So, a couple questions for their squad moving forward if they are going to have success and find gold in Tokyo.
This will run away. As for Canada, the name on the tip of everybody's tongue, naturally, Alphonso Davies, who's worked his way into the world's elite at Bayern Munich. But in the grand scheme, While the score line may end up being precisely the same as it was 5 years ago when these teams met, I think there's plenty of optimism right now in the northernmost reaches of the region. And with the World Cup in North America looming in the not too distant future, 3 additional minutes here separate Mexico from joining Honduras in the Tokyo Olympics.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor officer on the touch line has indicated that there will be a minimum of 3 minutes of us time in the table 5.
And there comes a point, Dev, where Honduras and Mexico continuously seem right now to represent Concacaf at the Olympics. Now with the United States' 3rd consecutive failed attempt to qualify for the tournament.
It's a heck of a ball.
Sure is. Angulo.
Sebastian Dorado. You never know with distribution like that on as a substitute. 39th minute versus the United States. Tabla doesn't lack confidence, does he? Regardless of the scoreline.
Offside flag. Under 90 ticks to go. So on Tuesday night in Guadalajara, we will have a championship final of this Olympic qualifying campaign. Mexico and Honduras both will have qualified for the Olympics. End of the day, when you get to the 5th game of a tournament, you never got that far to lose. Should be spirited. Canada and the United States will miss out on the Olympic Games. Both had bright moments in this tournament. Neither played their best with all the chips on the table in the semifinal. Neither will say they had a full deck in doing so. Mighty Mexico qualifies for the Olympics again. On home soil in Guadalajara, El Tri going back to the Olympic Games in Tokyo. And in the end, both semifinals in 2021 match the results of 2015. Mexico and Honduras are off to the Olympics again.
They deserve it, Mike, too. They've been the best team throughout this entire tournament, and they will continue forth. And I'll tell you what, sometimes when you know that you're the best team and when you know that you're supposed to win every single game, that pressure can get to you. The opening 45 minutes, it looked like that might happen. But good on every single individual professional that stepped on the pitch tonight for them. They bided their time. They waited for the opportunities to come to them, and they capitalized once they did.
Well, a massive credit to both Mexico and Honduras winning their semifinals and setting up a championship final in Olympic qualifying on Tuesday night here in Guadalajara. Dev, chance for your thoughts on how Mexico's progressed into this tournament and what we could look forward to in a final now.
I'm excited to see tactically what Honduras is capable of bringing to the table, especially considering their output against the United States men's national team, well, I should say the Olympic team, excuse me, this evening. But it's going to be a whole nother animal taking on this 10-headed monster, if you will, for Jaime Lozano. You see what it means to Basong and the fact that they weren't able to complete it. But 2 heavyweights that come Tuesday night, they are the 2 best teams in terms of overall output in this tournament. Honduras has slowly progressed through it. Mexico has been ever steady the entire time. And I would imagine the output you saw from the Canadians men's team tonight is going to be very similar to Honduras. A blockade, wave after wave of attack. Stranger things have happened. But the good news for them is that opportunity for both those squads to progress to Tokyo is now a reality.
For Canada, one can understand the disappointment to run into this roadblock again. But Mexico, a deserving berth to Tokyo in 2021. Let's take a look at the full-time highlights as these teams entered the field of play. Mexico surely a favorite, but Canada kept this Mexican side scoreless longer than any team that's played them thus far in the tournament.
Opening 10 minutes a little bit rocky in terms of overall play for Canada, but then it became up and down for the fouls that started to go back and forth between these two squads. It did get heated at the tail end of the first half, but you know what we were asking from the Mexican squad was we wanted more creativity in the final third. The reason that wasn't being established was because of the fact that the Canadian squad, you know, Mauro Biel had said, here's the deal. We're going to sit back. You want us? Come and find us. They sat 5. They sat flat across the 4. They even dropped down one of their forwards in Tejan Buchanan at that point in time and really didn't allow any creativity out of the likes of Esquivel, Cordova, or Cervantes. But there were still challenges coming forward, right? You understood that it couldn't just be Pantemis making these saves, and eventually there would find a breakthrough. You just didn't necessarily know where it was going to come from. Back-to-back games, the mistake by David Ochoa for the United States. Yep, Pantemis followed suit as well. He gifts this one right back to the Mexican squad. Quick little touch over. Even though there's good pressure here by Vega, this ball has to be knocked away and away from down the center of the goal, out to the exterior. Instead, let's just play it right back across. Uriel Antuna, do what you do best.
It's a brutal error for what has to be a candidate for the Golden Glove coming in this tournament. Pantemis concedes, Antuna scores. We wondered if Canada could stay upright, stay in the fight. In the end, it's a bit of a lucky bounce perhaps, but Johan Vasquez doesn't carry, cleans it up in the 64th, and it's 2-0.
Love the finish. The ball is amazing, but for me it all goes back to the lack of marking here, Mike, because look at all the white jerseys that allow Johan Vasquez to just roam free inside the 6. It's not fair to the goalkeeper, and for all the hard work they did defensively, they made a lot of silly errors that allowed this Mexican squad to really push forth and continue to apply pressure so unnecessarily. You've got a squad that for basically 55 minutes, and even 60, defensively was sound. The minute they wanted to try and open themselves up, they gave it right back to Mexico. Mexico capitalized on it.
And so with the lights on here still at Estadio Jalisco in Guadalajara, chance for one final thought here, Dev.
Yeah, again, it's definitely the best team. It's not the best that we've seen out of Mexico. We've seen 30, 40-minute pieces of brilliance from this team. Jaime Lozano will know that. He is going to have this team ticking at an extremely high level come the final. And if you're Honduras, storybook ending's not over, right? It's great that you've gotten to Tokyo, but what an honor it would be to step into that final match on home soil against this Mexican squad and knock them off their perch.
And so the field is set for Tokyo, and one purpose of this tournament is in the books. Mexico, with their win over Canada, Honduras with their victory over the United States, claim the final 2 tickets to Japan for the Summer Olympics. Tuesday night, Mexico and Honduras face off to lift the trophy in this competition. For Devin Kerr, our entire team at home and abroad, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching as it finishes Mexico 2, Canada 0. Good night.